Not sure exactly what bug bit Nintendo's Pokemon Studio, but their string of features during the Unova region just hasn't hit the mark in entertainment. As mentioned in the previous entry, it seems like things are just on autopilot. The stories tend to feel repetitive despite trying to appeal to their current fan base while expanding on the foundation when the anime began. But it just hasn't been enough to feel like anything new is really being done. Unfortunately, this entry is very much the same again, with only slight variations in different places. It's possible the production crew thought this story would get more viewers' attention because it involves a familiar face other than Ash, but that would be the only familiarity. Once again handled by the Yuyama Sonoda duo, this film finds Ash, Silent, and Iris headed to another city, looking a lot like Central Park of New York. Inside the park is a sanctuary where Pokemon of several regions live together. Meanwhile, far away, a group of 300 million-year-old telepathic Pokemon called Genesect are searching for their home. Thinking the area Ash and company are in reminds them of it, they begin attacking everyone so they could claim it for themselves. At the same time, Mewtwo, who can relate to Genesect's feelings, gets involved in the situation too. Really, it's not that good of a story for several reasons. For one, it's just not engaging. Genesect was apparently resurrected by scientists and no longer trusts humans. See how Mewtwo understands? But even after all that Mewtwo has from its previous experience, it too doesn't trust or like humans. So no one's learned anything then. Let's also not forget Mewtwo began the whole concept of telepathic English-speaking Pokemon, other than Meowth. Genesect is just another copy of those usual things to be expected. Aside from finding their home, as it's repeatedly mentioned, there isn't much else to really get behind for these new Pokemon. Making things even worse is how botched Mewtwo is as a character. Upon meeting Ash again, Mewtwo recalls nothing of what it went through with Ash from the first movie or when it crossed paths with Ash after that. Unless this is a new Mewtwo, which then makes no sense. Where's the continuity? So much for Ash promising they wouldn't forget what they experienced together several movies back. Making things even more confusing is whether this is actually the same Mewtwo from before. Reason being, the voice is totally different, and Mewtwo can now transform into another form. When did this come about? There really are more questions now from than before. Miriam Poltro, who now voices Mewtwo, is okay in her delivery, but because the original performance was different, it is very jarring. This also seems to be Poltro's only voice acting credit to date. The same could also be said for Samia Mounts, who voices the Genesect who befriends Ash and company. However, voicing the lead Genesect is Scott Rayo, who does have experience doing anime dubs before and even in Pokemon. Then there's Eric, who's Ash and friends' tour guide through the park, voiced by Jake Pack. The character itself is useless as he tries to fix tech being destroyed by the Pokemon. Somehow, he's the only one working among all other park employees. It's almost pointless to have this character. Voice acting in general is fine though, as usual. Even Team Rocket gets lines this time, which is cool. Animation was also an equally good-looking component. Featuring bright colors and fluid movements, there isn't much that needs correcting. Cinematography was credited to Tatsumi Yukiwaki in their first Pokemon project. Although, like everyone before them, no idea what it's used for. Finally, the music composed by Shinji Miyazaki, believe it or not, felt a little more noticeable this time. The tracks heard in this feature come across heartfelt, despite the connections not fully being there. But like always, there was no domestic release, so the album is again unattainable locally. One day, maybe one day, they'll re-release. That's all there is to it though. Regular components like the animation and voice acting are kept the same. Music even picks up some. But the story in general is still bland. Continuity is also very confusing with the changes made to Mewtwo.